Hi all, Hal here with more Space Engineers. Yay! And as you can see, we have got the solar panels up and running. All of our wind generators or wind turbines are up and running. Got a little bit of daylight left, and we're working, well, on an assembly yard. So we'll talk about some of the details, walk you through what we're doing, and what the long-term plan of this thing is. But first, we have to get started. So let's go. So happy Wednesday, everybody. Hope you're having a fantastic week. And yeah, so as you can see, I've been a little bit busy. Been cranking out a ridiculous amount of things. So what we have done, let's bring this up so you can see. So we're using the blast door. What we're doing, the reason I'm doing this is because I want the blocks to be slightly offset. This is always a very important thing when you're doing anything where you're playing around with, say, like merge blocks. So what the idea is that we have a projector mounted down below. And I believe that is forward. I may have to change that. We'll play around with that a little bit later. But what we've got is we have a projector down there that'll project whatever it is we're trying to build up here. We'll have the merge block be the mount point on it for large grid builds. And if you want to do a small grid build, we will set up, we'll probably set up something for that as well. Once we have the arms up here sorted out, and I'll explain what's going on with those here in a moment, we'll work on getting the welders down on the floor fixed, well, in place, I should say. So one of the things that has updated in the most recent version of Space Engineers is the welders and grinders are actually area of effect again. They're no longer just like one block out. They seem to be about 3 blocks based on the grid size. So if you're using a large grid, you'll get 3 large blocks. If you're using a small grid, you'll get effectively a block and a half or so out of here. So it's not exactly 1-to-1. It's kind of weird. But we do get an area welder now, right? And if I decide to come back and use modded welders to increase that surface area, well, you know, that's just something we can do. All right. So what we're doing is I've got 4 pistons in each corner. So for the folks who have played Space Engineers, for folks who have played Space Engineers for a bit, you know that each one of these becomes its own grid, and it becomes really annoying trying to get everything sequenced together. So when you're building vertically or in any direction, and you want to tie all of these grids together, it's yeah, interesting to say the least. So what we're going to do is we're doing a merge block. I guess it's an exploit hack kind of thing. It's doing what merge blocks are supposed to do. It's just doing it in such a way as to work around a limitation of the game, hopefully, anyway. So I haven't tried this since launch. I'm not sure if this will still work or not, but we're going to find out. So basically what we do is you go ahead and build your system into place. So we actually have, this is actually a conveyor junction, and that is true on the bottom of all of these pistons, because we're going to have a welding array on the top, but it's going to be different. A little bit different, anyway. But what we need to do is we're going to need to join all 4 of the upper pistons into one grid. So yeah, basically what we do is we have a merge block. This one's facing up. Well, the prongs are facing up. Let me show you here. So the prongs on this one are setting that way, right? So we're going to have one that comes in through the top facing down. In order to do that, we go a couple of blocks. And you notice it pushes this because it's 2 grids in contact now. So we flip this to make sure we have that in the right direction. You attach it to the second grid. And when you weld these up, what will happen is that will become one grid all the way across. So all both of these piston heads will be on the same grid. And what we'll need to do is we're going to tie all of these together. I should probably... Well, once they're all tied together, we'll know because they'll all be the same color code in the UI. Alright, so let's go ahead and grab... I need 12 large tubes, a bunch of plates, construction, computers, and motors, right? Okay, so we have the plates. Let's do this way. There we go. Oh, where are they at? There we go. We just need, you know, go ahead and grab 3 of those. I don't know, a bunch of those. We've already got the plates. What did we say? We need motors and tubes, motors, and plates. Thought we needed something else. Could have sworn we needed something else. Is it computers? I think it's computers. Let's go find out. Okay, so that is one side. That is the other side. And so now that is all one block. And why this is important is so that we can do this. And that is why we had to do it, because we wanted to make sure we would be able to cover this entire thing. So what we're doing is we're actually building a print plate. So for those who have ever used a 3D printer, this is basically what you see on a large printer. It's you will have a print head, which we're going to have pistons going back down as well. That
Energy
will
low.
basically weld up the stuff that's down here, and as it retracts, it'll start welding vertically. At least that's the idea in theory. We're going to give it a try and see how well this works. Alright, those merge together. We can then use that to tie it together. Now that these are merged as a single block or as a single grid, what we can do is we can do this to make sure everything is welded together, and then you can come back and take this stuff out. You just want to make sure you have enough space, and that's why I put the extra space there, was because if we had put the merged block here, when we took it out, it wouldn't be attached to this grid anymore. And so we want to make sure we keep these things attached. And then you can take this one out. And voila. You have one grid here, one grid over there. Now guess what we're going to do here. Oh, so let's go get this thing welded up. But like I said, we do want to make sure we're keeping everything together. There's nothing worse than doing this and then realizing you just broke the grid you spent 20 minutes trying to get together. Oh, that always sucks. Okay. And then to show you what I'm talking about when you're, for those who don't necessarily know, in Space Engineers, when you have multiple grids together, that's what each of these colors is it's basically telling you anything that's the same color is on the same grid. Now, the obvious exception to that is the red. This actually ends up getting doubled up if you have enough grids to connect it together. So you'll eventually get to the point where normal grids are red too. So it's not supposed to be technically in the system. It's off by 1 or 2 digits in the color scheme. But yeah. Okay, so what we're looking for is... Oh, see, we'll have to go complete the pistons. Yeah, we're going to have to go complete the pistons to see which ones are which. Okay. And if we do this one. And by doing this, when we finish welding these up, if we go check, we're out of tubes again. Let me grab some tubes. I didn't put that over here yet. All right. Oh, private sale. Okay. I always freak out when I see. You know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and grab you. It's not like I don't have more of them in storage. All right. Okay. So now if we go back in here, we look at the pistons again. All of the pistons that we welded up should be. So the pistons themselves are on separate grids, which is what it's supposed to do. So that's fine. But we know that these are the top pistons. So what we're going to do, you know what, let's do this. This is going to be all. We're going to save that. All right. Now for the 4 that we just welded up, these are going to be welder array, pistons top, there should be, there we go. So we want to get rid of. So for these, we are now going to not show those in the terminal anymore. And so as we go through, and basically we're going to have to do this one stage at a time, but as we weld up each of the tiers, we'll go through, build another group, and then that way we'll be able to have these go off on the same time. So the bottom tier will expand, the second tier will expand, third tier will expand, fourth tier will expand, or contract as we need it to in order to do the welding. See? Yeah. So once all of this is set up, because of the way that we have these things combined in here or added into the build, we're going to be able to run piping through all of this. So we'll have redundant piping feeds so that all of our welders will be able to weld things up. And then, like I said, what we're going to do on the grid here down on the floor is we're going to set up the welders to weld our base layer for us, and we'll have an upper tier for the plate that will come down with welders on it. So all of this stuff in order to build an automated welding facility. This is what we used to have to do before Bob was a thing. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, we're going to duplicate the merge block trick that we used to join the long corners to the short corners now, and we will get everything up and running, hopefully, in the near future. So let me go ahead and do a quick cut. I'll get these two groups merged together, and then we'll start working on the drop down plate. Alright, so we'll be right back. And we're back. So we have fully welded everything up, and as you can see, it's all set up now. Well, at least the pistons are. So we've got a upper array over here. What we're gonna do is, because of the way everything's welded up, now that this is all one grid up here, we'll be able to run conduit up the conveyor blocks, all the different types of conveyors up here, to feed a welding array, which will actually, it'll feed into pistons, which will drop back down to allow us to fill in the gaps. So because of the way that everything works, we're going to have, you know, probably 2 pistons. I'm thinking 2 pistons hanging back down, because I wanted to be able to have this be as tall as necessary for larger ships. And so yeah, basically we need to start working on that portion of it. Okay, so we've got, that's gonna go there, and what I'll do is I'll feed the piping out on the back side of that, I think. And see, normally, if you hadn't if we hadn't just merged all of these together into a single grid, that would be separated right there, or wherever you ended up placing things. So we're going to go, that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So we want to take it 8 over. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is where it is going to go. And that's just so that I know I need to place. Because again, even though it's joined in the middle, I am super paranoid about breaking grids. So, oh, I'm out of interior plates again. Oh, so yeah. Now, hopefully, this is going to help everybody that has been asking about the different ways of setting up welders and such. I've had a couple of you ask me, you know, if I was going to do like a giant array like this, how would you get, you know, multiple grids joined, and how do you get larger build platforms? Well, this is pretty much how you do it. Alright, so that's going to come across this way. We're just using this as a temporary cross line here. It might end up becoming permanent. I don't think it will, though. I think it's going to be just a temporary thing. Okay. You're going to come this way. Alright. And that tells me I need... right there. Okay. Now we can take this out. Okay. And we flip the script here. And we do another one. Why am I unable to place that piston? Did you flip on me? I think you flipped on me. Come on. Son of a... Oh, there we go. I was gonna say, that didn't make sense. Okay. And now what we're gonna do here is basically the same thing we did over on the other side. And then we're going to merge these. Come on, let me place it. There we go. And then we're going to merge these two together as well. So we're going to say, I'm actually going to replace these eventually once we have everything merged up. Okay, so see how it pushes away, right? You can't do anything, so we're going to have one merge block. Yeah. And it doesn't matter which direction you have these things facing in, honestly. What matters is that you get them squared up the way you need them. Alright. And I don't think I have the stuff for the merge blocks. So, oh, maybe I do. Nope, missing computers and tubes. Okay, so let's go grab some parts really quick. And computers. And we're going to get these parts back here in just a second. There you go. Alright, and then we are going to, once again, make sure these are all joined together. And we should be able to take that out, take that off. Right? Yeah, okay.
Inventory full.
Oh, my inventory is full. That's going to be bad. Yeah. Ooh, that looks like it broke. Alright, so let's go ahead and we're going to put, unlike what we did before, we're going to put a junction in. because we're going to have welders attached to this tier. Did things break? Okay, I'm going to admit,
inventory.
I'm rather impressed that that didn't break as badly as it could have. Okay, there we go. Alright, so let's go ahead and drop all this stuff off just to get it out of our inventory. And there's the plates and such. There we go. Turn that off so we... Okay, so what this is going to allow us to do now is we will have a inner plate that will drop down with welders attached. So when that is fully extended, we can bring back, or when it's fully retracted, we can bring back everything else. Extend just one level if we need to, or two if that's what we need. Turn the welders on, and basically just start retracting as it welds up. So yeah, okay. And then we'll have an array built off of that comes out to basically here. Let me see here. How many plates do I have? I don't have enough. Let's go grab a couple of plates. To make sure we have enough to do this. And like I said, I'm going to replace these with blast doors. At least on the inner line. The outer line I may leave like this. Actually, with the outer line I'll probably do. Makes sense to do those as well. So we'll talk about doing... let's see. So if we do corner, and then we can have the edge like so. Okay, you need to stop auto rotating, thank you. Alright. Make sure we have that set up in the right direction. Yes, there you go. There you go. And so what that will allow us to do is have something with a reduced footprint, so you're less likely to have anything collide with it. And they are a more heavily reinforced block than the standard light armor blocks. So they're less likely to blow up on you, which is actually a fairly important thing. And so... and we'll fill all of those in as well. Okay, so that gets us most of this done. Like I said, I'll probably not do a complete plate on this side, but what we will do is start to feed in the different feed in the different supply lines. Sorry, got something in my eye, so kind of distracted for a second. But yeah, so we'll end up feeding in the different supply lines. We'll set up the array. I'm probably going to do, let me see, that's what, 5 spaces in there? 6, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so yeah, so what I'll probably do is every grid, if we're doing 5, if I do one on here, one here, one here, that should give us enough coverage, and then it's just basically building out everything else all the way across. Okay. So we'll end up with something that works something like this. So then where each of these areas that we've left an opening will be a welder. Yeah, I think that'll work well. And then that's the supply. So if we do, let me bring up the welder really quick. Don't need pistons anymore. So if we do welder like that. So yeah, that should work. Because basically we'll have welders in every other block here. So there'll be a welder there, and a welder there.
Energy critical.
And what I may do is come back. Actually, no, if I leave it like that, that'll work really nicely. Yeah, I'm kind of liking that, because instead of having a solid plate in here, we'll just have rows of welders coming off. I kind of like that. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and finish this up, get it hopefully all piped in, and it should be, these are running front to back, so I just have to pipe it in to the end of each line, and then we can have it run through. Yeah, I think that's gonna work really well actually, because we're doing this on every other block. It does mean I'll have to take out the other blocks that we have there, but that's okay. Right? Look at that. Okay. So what I'm thinking is we take these out, and then that way you'll be able to run the piping in between each of them. I have to get some interior plates for that.
Energy.
Ah, crap. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead, get charged up. We're going to get the work done on this when we come back next time. I do think I'm going to go ahead and call this one here, because this episode's running a little bit long. When we come back next time, hopefully most of this will be welded up. You've already seen what I'm doing as far as how the piston groupings are concerned. I'm just going to continue repeating that for the weld plate, the droppable weld plate. We'll get all of that welded up. We'll get the welders in, and I think what we'll do is when we come back next time, we'll probably be in the process of finishing up this build. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and thank you for stopping in. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you hit that like button. If you are new to the channel, want to see more, or just feel like doing something nice for me today, hit that subscribe. And if you want to be kept up to date, make sure you ring the bell. Like I said before, they keep telling me it does something. I don't know. But better to be safe than sorry, right? Anyway, I'm going to get out of here. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your week, and we will see you back here next time for more Space Engineers. As always, folks, take care and be safe out there, everybody. Alright, so we have to get the rest of this in and done, and then we can start manufacturing really big ships.